Hello, fellow mushrooms. It's Dave, and today we're going to be talking about Temtems. So, if you haven't heard what Temtems is, it is a Pokemon clone that's available on PC, and it's in early access at the moment. You can buy it on both Steam and the Humble Store. And yeah, let's just talk about whether you should buy it or not. In my experience with the game so far, before I get started, I'm not sponsored by anyone to do this. This is just my opinion. I paid for my own copy. So yeah, let's jump right into it. Some backstory to go along with the title. My last Pokemon game I played was Pokemon Diamond, I believe, on the DSi. So it's been a bit. And the main reason I actually picked this game up was because I really wanted to get back into Pokemon, and I didn't want to spend the money on a Switch. I was like debating it. I'm like, I want to play Sword and Shield, but I don't want to buy a Switch. And then this popped up. I'm like, oh, let's give this a try. So, yeah, let's get into it from that perspective. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the graphics. Graphical standpoint, I actually really did not like the game at first, and then after playing it for about 5 or 6 hours, I actually really like it. Especially the Temtems themselves, the creatures, and the special effects for their attacks and the world, I actually really like quite a bit. The one thing I dislike is the characters. That this isn't a killer for me, but it's just a couple, like, a point off. I don't necessarily like the way the characters look. My character I like, but several of the NPCs that are main characters look real dumb. I'm not really sure why, but they do. I don't know if they can go over that and touch it up a little bit. Just change it. They look kind of special. It's like you posted cringe. I don't know. It just yeah. So a couple of the characters I don't particularly like very much. Getting into probably the most important part of these games, these types of games, is combat. And combat is definitely where this game shines, and where it makes itself most apparent that it's trying to be different than Pokemon, in my opinion. Combat's definitely more complicated and more difficult. The difficulty ramps up in this game quicker, which actually is a very good thing for a couple different reasons I will touch on in a second. But so a couple base things. Combat is almost 90% of the time in duo form, with two Temtems on the field and of yours, and that's such a good thing for just strategy. Like, I don't understand why, honestly, base Pokemon should always be duo. In my opinion, it just feels so much better, and with Temtems doing this, I really hope it has an effect on future Pokemon games, because it just, for strategy-wise, it just makes it feel better, especially because there are several attacks and moves that feed off of having two things. So let me explain with the Focus, which is what they call Psychic in the game. The starter has an attack called Energy Manipulation, and it gets a massive buff as long as your other Temtem is I believe, a grass type. And that just, so you can really, that kind of sounds simple, but there are other more complicated versions of that. Like, there's more strategy to be had in that regard. Not a whole lot more, but there is something else there, and it just adds another layer that really should be in Pokemon in general. So getting other combat things, the typing seems to be both a little less important, but also more important. And so criticals do, as far as I can tell, less damage, but there are different versions of criticals. So there's a critical that does double damage, but I've gotten criticals that do quadruple damage. So I think it's kind of actually randomized, from what I can tell, what type of critical you get. I could be completely wrong about that, but whenever I get them, it seems to be no rhyme or reason to which one I get, which is fine. And then when you're attacking something with a similar thing, let's say two birds attack each other with flying types, it just cuts the damage in half. So it's pretty similar in that regard, but it's not bad. I like that. It's fine. And then when it comes to, actually, two of my favorite things in the game. So in Pokemon, obviously, you get all your XP at the end of a battle, where in Temtems, you get your XP delivered to you in stages throughout the course of the fight. And so that means you actually can level up in the fight. And You can level up in the fight. You can learn new attacks in the fight, which can just completely change the fight itself. And you can your Temtems can evolve in the fight, and that is so freaking cool. I'm like, how is this not in base Pokemon? I don't know why. I just thought that was amazing. I just thought that was really, really cool. And I'll bring up evolutions later. I'm just gonna say that here because the evolutions, I don't like how evolutions work in this game necessarily, and I'll bring that up in the cons part at the end. So stick around for that. But this is super cool. Moving past combat, because I believe that's really all I have for it. It's good. It's very good. It feels professionally made. It feels what's the term I'm going for? Balanced. It feels balanced, and it's good. The sound effects and the music I really, really like the music. I feel like the sound effects, especially for the Temtems themselves, is spot on, and a lot of them are just so freaking cute. There's this one creature I refer to as Tim. I can't remember his name. I'll have a picture of him on screen, and I love him, and his sound effects are amazing. Also, just if you're already playing the game, Mr. Tim Boy does not evolve if you haven't looked it up, which makes me very sad. But so that's a little annoying that he doesn't evolve. I really wanted him to evolve. He's so cute. But yeah, music, combat noise, sound effects are all on point, and I like them quite a bit. So at this point, this is all the good things I have to say about the game, which is, yes, it's very good. If you like this kind of game, if you like capturing animals and making them fight, this game is for you, and it is on PC, and it is fantastic. And you won't, as far as I know, could be wrong about this, the company that makes it, and Humble, because Humble's publishing it, Humble Bundle, they won't copyright strike you for your gameplay, or demonetize you like Nintendo will. So, it's a win-win if this gets popular. But now let's move on to some of the cons. Now this is going to be shorter. I would highly recommend, again, if you've liked everything you've heard so far, nothing I say in the cons I think is going to take away from that, and you should just buy the game if you're into this kind of game. So anyway, cons. So I really, as I mentioned before in the graphics, really dislike the way the people look. I think they just look... The NPCs look bad. I don't know why. Some of them are just obnoxiously looking bad. Like, your rival looks very... I can't even explain how... I don't know. There's just something there. I just dislike it. And then, like, the professor character just needs to look older or something. Like, he doesn't look right. A lot of the characters, a lot of the NPCs just don't look right. They look a little out of place or something. I can't really put my finger on it. Going back to evolutions, so Temtems does this weird thing where evolution numbers aren't set, like in Pokemon. So, like a Pidgey, if I remember correctly, Pidgeys evolve at level 12, right? They always evolve at level 12, and if for some reason you catch a Pidgey that's above level 12, it evolves at the next level. Well, Temtems, that may be the case for the starters, and this is where it's a bit deceiving. So, the starter numbers are always the same because you get the starters at a set level. I believe it's 7 or 8, and so I believe they evolve at level 32. But here's the thing. It's not the fact that your creature is level 32. It's the fact that you've leveled up 32 times. Now, that may sound like the same thing. However, it is not. So, for instance, if you catch 2 of the same creature, and let's say those red weird pigeon things, it evolves after you level it up 7 times. But if one of them is level 13 and one of them is level 14, that means one of them will evolve. The level 13 one will evolve at level 20, and the other one will evolve at level 21. It's weird, especially coming from Pokemon. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is just very odd. Like, I'm just make it a set level. But yeah, it's your creature has to level up a set amount of... It has to level up so many times, not get to a set level. And that's just very... I don't know. It's very odd. I don't hate it, but I don't like it. It's just weird. And then my final complaint about the game, and the reason I'm doing this one last is because it's pretty much been taken care of as far as I could tell, but I'm saying it just in case it becomes an issue again, or maybe it hasn't been resolved, is wait times to join the server. So when I first picked this game up, the day it came out, wait times to get onto the server were abysmal. It was like 20 to 35 minutes, and remember, I wasn't sure I wanted to keep the game at that point, and I was considering refunding it. Well, guess what? You only get 2 hours to refund it on Steam. Maybe that's better on Humble if you buy it through them. I don't know if they even have a refund policy, but if you're spending 1/4 of your time, which you should be playing the game to determine whether you want to refund it, on waiting, that's really annoying. Now, luckily, I didn't have to refund it. I really enjoyed it. But so that was like that the first 2 days of launch, and then after that, I've had no issues. So I'm assuming they've just bought more server space. So yeah, it's been resolved as far as I can tell. But just in case it hasn't, I'm mentioning it. And there is no, actually another thing to go along with. There is no offline button, which is super annoying. That at the moment, I believe they said that they're going to add it. You can't play offline. You have to play in an MMO world, which is, I can accept that, especially since people aren't interacting with you. You just sort of like see them. That's fine. And you can't have multiple characters at the moment, which I think is really annoying. So for someone like me who would like to do a playthrough of the game, I would have to restart and reset my character, which I've already have like 6 hours in. So I don't really want to do that. So it's just a very odd, that needs to be added to the game pronto. That really needs to be in the game, that you can have multiple characters. Even if, I don't even care to pay for it. Maybe they're like, well, it takes up server space. Fine, charge $1 per character slot. I don't care, you need to be able to do that. Like, you shouldn't even have to charge for it, honestly, but if you did, I would be willing to pay for it, as long as it was reasonable. Just get that into the game. But yeah, other than that, if you want to take anything away from this video is, if you like that game, freaking buy it. I highly recommend it. I've had a ton of fun with it so far. And yeah, that's really all I can say about it. If you're thinking about buying it, buy it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to see similar content to this, please let me know down below. If you want to see a playthrough of Temtems and more Temtems related tutorials, also let me know. I will be very happy to put out video content like that, because I actually legitimately really like this game and would like to cover it further. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and have a fantastic day.